At the far edge of explored space lies the Galactic Federation's remote research outpost, Helios Station. This station functions as the eyes and ears for the Federation, constantly scanning for signs of life, technology, or threats beyond the known star systems. One day, the scientists at Helios detect an anomalous signal unlike any recorded before, a faint, repeating distress call originating from a dark and unexplored sector of space. The SOS is peculiar in several ways. Unlike standard distress beacons broadcast by Federation ships or colonies, this message is encrypted with an alien code pattern never before encountered. The transmission pulses with a desperate urgency that suggests immediate peril, but its exact nature is unclear. The message repeats in a continuous loop, its eerie rhythm sending a chill through the station's crew. News of the signal quickly reaches the Galactic Council, a high-level assembly of representatives from various species. Across the Federation, the Council is divided. Some advocate ignoring the signal, fearing it may be a trap or a call for help from a hostile civilization, possibly a lure to draw Federation forces into a deadly ambush. Others argue that the Federation's duty is to respond to any SOS, especially from potentially unknown species who may be victims of oppression or catastrophe. The debate grows heated, highlighting a deep-rooted tension: the Federation's ideals of exploration and aid versus practical concerns of survival and security amid the political turmoil. A decision is reluctantly made. A small specialized fleet, known as the Vanguard Squadron, is dispatched on a reconnaissance mission to locate the source of the SOS and assess the situation. The fleet's flagship, CSS Resolute, is crewed by a diverse group of officers and scientists, selected not only for combat prowess but for diplomatic and analytical skills. Leading the mission is Captain Lyra Venn, a seasoned officer renowned for her calm leadership and innovative problem-solving. As the fleet ventures into uncharted space, the atmosphere aboard Resolute is tense but focused. The deeper they travel, into the void, the more signs of an ancient, forgotten war zone emerge. Ruined satellites drifting silently, derelict outposts half buried on barren moons, and strange bioluminescent flora hinting at dangerous ecosystems. These grim discoveries add a layer of foreboding to the mission. The crew's scanners finally locate the signal's origin, a small planetary system orbiting a cold, dim star. The planet at the system's core is unlike any they have seen, an extreme death world, with a toxic atmosphere, violent storms, and a landscape of jagged mountains and endless deserts. It's the kind of place where survival itself is a battle, and only the hardiest life forms could thrive. As they prepare to descend, Captain Venn issues orders to proceed with caution. Unknown dangers may lurk in this hostile environment, and the SOS could be a trap or a final cry for help from a long-lost civilization. The fleet activates stealth protocols and readies defense systems as they approach the planet's surface. The tension is palpable, but no one on the Resolute can deny a flicker of hope. Hope that this mission could unlock new knowledge, new allies, or even new hope for a galaxy increasingly shadowed by political strife and looming threats. Then suddenly, the planet's surface pulses with strange energy signals, an ominous warning that the arrival of the Vanguard Squadron has awoken something long dormant and dangerous. As the Vanguard Squadron's fleet cautiously orbits the mysterious Deathworld, the tension aboard the CSS Resolute thickens. The planet is an alien wilderness, utterly hostile and unforgiving. Its atmosphere is dense with poisonous gases, violent electrical storms rage across the sky, and the landscape is a chaotic maze of jagged peaks and desolate wastelands. This Deathworld is unlike any other the Federation has charted. It is a place where only the most resilient and ruthless life forms could survive. Despite the dangers, Captain Lyra Venn orders a specialized reconnaissance team to descend to the planet's surface. Their mission: locate the source of the SOS signal, investigate the possibility of survivors, and gather intelligence. The squad lands at the coordinates pinpointed by the transmission and immediately encounters the brutal realities of this world. Strange flora with razor-sharp tendrils, bizarre fauna lurking in the shadows, and an eerie silence broken only by the howling storms greet the team. While scouting, The reconnaissance squad stumbles upon ancient ruins half buried in the toxic soil. These structures are unlike any Federation or known alien architecture. Massive, jagged, and crafted from an unknown black alloy that absorbs light. Strange glyphs and symbols hint at a long-lost civilization that once thrived here, but now lie in ruin, swallowed by the planet's brutal ecosystem. As the team explores, they inadvertently trigger a hidden mechanism within the ruins. A powerful energy pulse ripples through the planet and into space. This activation awakens the Deathworlders, an ancient, legendary warrior race genetically adapted to survive the most lethal environments. For centuries, the Deathworlders' armada lay dormant, hidden in stasis pods beneath the planet's surface, waiting for the right moment to rise again. The moment the energy pulse echoes through their command center, the Deathworlders begin to stir. Clad in bioengineered armor fused with their harsh environment, these warriors are terrifying in both appearance and skill. Their bodies have evolved with crystalline bones, venomous spines, and unmatched endurance, perfect predators on a death world. They see the Vanguard Squadron's presence as a direct threat, an invasion that must be eradicated. On board the CSS Resolute, Captain Venn receives reports of a sudden surge in hostile activity. Drones and scout ships, previously silent, begin aggressive patrols around the fleet's perimeter. Communications intercepts reveal the Deathworlders' language filled with war cries and warnings. Attempts at peaceful communication are met with silence or threats. The Deathworlders unleash their unique weapons, biological war machines that adapt to the environment, lethal plasma spears, and devastating energy cannons that harness the planet's natural storms. Their guerrilla tactics and intimate knowledge of the Deathworld's terrain give them an overwhelming advantage against the technologically advanced but unfamiliar Federation fleet. Caught off guard, the Vanguard Squadron suffers significant damage. Several ships are disabled or destroyed in sudden ambushes. The Deathworlders' aggression proves that this is no ordinary SOS. They have been lying in wait, and the call for help was a strategic trap to lure in unsuspecting prey. Back on the Ear, Resolute, Captain Venn convenes with her officers and scientists. They face a dire choice: retreat and risk losing valuable knowledge about this powerful race, or stand their ground and risk annihilation. Venn's determination to understand the Deathworlders' motives intensifies. She suspects that there's more to the story than pure hostility. Meanwhile, deep beneath the planet's surface, the Deathworlders' High Council debates their next move. Some advocate for total war to eradicate all Federation forces, while others suggest probing for weaknesses or even negotiations, hinting at an ancient grudge with the Federation that might be resolved without further bloodshed. As Part 2 closes, the galaxy braces for a conflict that could shatter the fragile balance of power. The awakening of the Deathworlders' fleet is no longer just a legend, it is a deadly reality, and the fate of countless worlds hangs in the balance. The tension in the void thickens as the Vanguard Squadron braces for confrontation. After the Deathworlders' sudden and brutal awakening, it's clear that diplomacy will be challenging, if not impossible. The hostile race, bred for survival, on a lethal death world, views any outsider as a direct threat, especially those who have triggered their reactivation. The CSS Resolute and its fleet are on high alert. Their sensors pick up rapid, unpredictable movement. Deathworlder ships emerging from hidden caverns and storm-racked asteroid fields, striking swiftly and vanishing into the planet's volatile environment. These attacks aren't just military maneuvers. They are brutal guerrilla-style raids designed to sow chaos and fear. The first major engagement happens in the dense asteroid belt surrounding the Deathworld. Deathworlder vessels, bioengineered and seemingly alive, weave through debris with uncanny agility. Federation ships, despite their advanced technology, struggle to match the Predator's intimate knowledge of the terrain. The Deathworlders deploy plasma spears and energy nets, disabling several Federation fighters in a matter of minutes. Captain Lyra Venn watches grimly as her fleet takes heavy losses. Communication is chaotic. The Deathworlders don't use traditional tactics or protocols. No grand fleet formations, no formal war declarations. Instead, they strike like predators in the dark, targeting key vessels and commanders. The Vanguard Squadron's flagship narrowly escapes destruction after a plasma spear pierces its outer hull, setting off a chain of critical system failures. Amid the chaos, we focus on Lieutenant Arlen Cade, a young but highly skilled pilot known for his daring maneuvers and sharp instincts. Arlen's squadron is ambushed during a scouting mission. Using quick thinking and an intimate knowledge of Federation fighter capabilities, Arlen manages to save several comrades but suffers serious injuries himself. His survival becomes a symbol of resilience for the battered fleet. Back on the Resolute, Captain Venn convenes her officers. The data intercepted from Deathworlder communications reveals disturbing information. The SOS was not a genuine call for help, but a calculated trap. The Deathworlders intended to lure Federation forces into the Deathworld's deadly environment to reignite a war long thought dormant. The Federation scientists dig deeper into the Deathworlders' biology and culture. They discover the warriors are bioengineered for maximum lethality. Their crystalline bones can absorb energy blasts, their spines release toxins that incapacitate enemies, and their ship designs incorporate living tissues that can heal damage. This combination of biological and technological adaptation makes them nearly unstoppable on their home turf. Despite the bloodshed, Captain Venn suspects that this is not a senseless war. There must be a reason behind the Deathworlders' wrath. She orders a covert operation to capture a Deathworlder combatant alive to gain insights into their motives and history. Meanwhile, the Deathworlders' High Council intensifies their campaign, mobilizing more warships and coordinating strikes with deadly precision. Their ultimate goal appears to be to push the Federation off the Deathworld and reclaim their lost territory. The Council's speeches reveal a deep-seated grudge, an ancient betrayal that led to their exile and near extinction. As the conflict escalates, the Vanguard Squadron faces a crucial dilemma. The fleet is outmatched in guerrilla warfare on the Yale planet's surface and in space. Withdrawal could mean losing the only chance to understand and perhaps prevent a larger war. Yet pressing forward risks total annihilation. The chapter ends with Lieutenant Arlen Cade preparing for a desperate rescue mission deep within Deathworlder territory, a mission that could either turn the tide or seal the fate of the Federation forces. After the devastating battles and guerrilla attacks, the Vanguard Squadron knows that brute force alone won't win the war against the Deathworlders. Captain Lyra Venn, driven by a mix of hope and desperation, authorizes a daring plan. Capture a Deathworlder warrior alive to uncover the truth behind their hostility and the origins of the cryptic SOS signal. The mission is perilous. A specialized covert team, including elite Federation operatives and expert xenolinguists, infiltrates the toxic and storm-ravaged surface of the Deathworld. Using stealth technology and biohazard suits adapted to the planet's lethal environment, they track down the Deathworlder forces' positions. During a tense encounter inside a vast cavern network beneath the planet's surface, the team succeeds in capturing a wounded but still defiant Deathworlder warrior. This warrior, called Kale, has crystalline bone structures and bioengineered armor fused with living tissues. His eyes gleam with a fierce intelligence and mistrust. Back aboard the CSS Resolute, Kale is isolated and monitored carefully, but Captain Venn insists on engaging directly with him. Through painstaking communication, aided by xenolinguists and advanced translation algorithms, they begin to bridge the vast cultural and historical divide. Kyle's story unfolds, a history of a proud and ancient civilization forged in the harsh crucible of the Deathworld. The Deathworlders were once fierce protectors of the planet, guardians of powerful technologies that maintained the planet's delicate ecosystem. But centuries ago, the Galactic Federation, fearful of the Deathworlders' power and independence, betrayed their trust. An expedition disguised as a diplomatic mission instead launched a covert strike that shattered their society, forcing the Deathworlders underground. The SOS signal, Kyle reveals, was sent not as a genuine plea for help, but as a warning beacon and a call to arms. The Deathworlders had lain dormant, their armada in stasis, waiting for the day when outsiders would once again threaten their home. The activation of the fleet was inevitable, a defensive response to centuries of betrayal and isolation. Kale's perspective reveals the depth of the Deathworlders' grievances and the complexity of their culture. They are not mindless warriors, but a species driven by honor, survival, and a fierce protection of their homeworld. Kale expresses a grudging respect for Captain Ven's willingness to listen, but warns that trust will take time, and many sacrifices. Meanwhile, tensions aboard the Resolute escalate as some officers advocate for a final, all-out strike to destroy the Deathworlders once and for all, fearing they cannot be reasoned with. Captain Ven stands firm, convinced that understanding their history is key to preventing further bloodshed. As Kale shares more about the Deathworld's ancient technologies, Federation scientists uncover the existence of a powerful planetary defense system, a network of biomechanical constructs that could devastate entire fleets if activated. The Deathworlders' High Council debates whether to unleash this ultimate weapon, risking the destruction of the planet itself to annihilate their enemies. In a critical moment, Captain Ven proposes an unprecedented alliance. The Federation offers to help restore the Deathworld's environment and repair the damage caused by the ancient betrayal, in exchange for peace and cooperation. Kale agrees to present this proposal to his High Council, but warns that acceptance is far from guaranteed. As the part closes, the fragile hope of peace hangs in the balance, overshadowed by the looming threat of the Deathworld's dormant defenses and the shadow of a galaxy watching closely, waiting to see whether old wounds can heal or if the fires of war will consume them all. With the tentative dialogue opened between Captain Lyra Ven and Kale, the captured Deathworlder warrior, a fragile hope for peace begins to surface. Kale returns to the Deathworlders' High Council with Captain Ven's unprecedented proposal, an alliance aimed at healing centuries-old wounds and rebuilding the devastated Deathworld ecosystem. It's a gamble that could alter the course of the conflict and perhaps save countless lives. However, within the Deathworlders' leadership, opinion is deeply divided. The High Council is a mix of hardened warriors and cautious strategists. Some see the Federation's offer as a genuine olive branch, an opportunity to reclaim their dignity and protect their homeworld from annihilation. Others view it as a sign of weakness or a Federation ploy, designed to undermine their strength and break their will. In the tense council chambers, Kyle argues passionately in favor of the truce, drawing on his personal interactions with Captain Ven and the knowledge that continued war could lead to mutual destruction. But his words meet fierce resistance from elders who believe that only total war will ensure the Deathworlders' survival and dominance. The old wounds run deep, and memories of betrayal fuel hatred and suspicion. Meanwhile, on the CSS Resolute, preparations begin cautiously for a ceasefire. Federation engineers work closely with Deathworlder scientists who are willing to cooperate, exchanging knowledge to begin restoring parts of the planet's atmosphere and to deactivate some of the Deathworld's devastating defense systems. But peace proves fragile. A faction of extremist Deathworlders, rejecting any truce, stages a violent coup within the High Council. They sabotage key Federation installations on the planet's surface and orchestrate surprise attacks against Vanguard squadron outposts. The ceasefire shatters abruptly, plunging the region back into chaos and bloodshed. Captain Ven is forced to react swiftly to contain the damage. Her fleet shifts from cautious diplomacy to defensive operations, protecting their bases and civilians, caught in the crossfire. The Federation's hope for a peaceful resolution is tested as the extremists escalate their campaign, using the Deathworld's brutal terrain and deadly biomechanical war machines to devastating effect. The war is renewed. Fury exposes a harsh truth. Neither side can afford to underestimate the other. The Deathworlders' warriors fight with ferocity born of millennia of survival against impossible odds, and their knowledge of the planet's lethal environment gives them a terrifying edge. Conversely, the Federation's advanced technology and strategic coordination provide a lifeline to their outnumbered forces. In the midst of renewed fighting, Lieutenant Arlen Cade, still recovering from his injuries, leads a daring raid to capture the extremist faction's leader. His mission is crucial. If the Federation can neutralize the extremists' command, it might restore some semblance of order and open the door to renewed negotiations. Meanwhile, Captain Ven grapples with the political fallout. Within the Federation Council, hawkish voices grow louder, demanding a full-scale war to eliminate the Deathworlders once and for all. Ven's resolve is tested as she fights to hold on to the slim chance of peace. aware that failure could ignite a war that consumes entire star systems. The part closes on a dark note. The shattered truce leaves both sides wounded, their distrust deepened. The Deathworld storms rage on, reflecting the brewing tempest of war that threatens to engulf them all. Yet amid the chaos, a quiet hope endures, a hope that reason and courage might still find a path to peace before the final, devastating battle. The shattered truce has left scars on both the Vanguard Squadron and the Deathworlders. Trust is fragile, and the fragile hope for peace now seems a distant memory. Yet, beneath the turmoil, a new chapter is unfolding, one that will determine the fate of the galaxy itself. Captain Lyra Venn, though battered by setbacks and political pressures, remains resolute. She understands that the Deathworlders' rage is rooted not only in survival but in a deep wound of betrayal and loss. Her mission evolves from simple defense to forging a fragile alliance capable of confronting even greater threats looming beyond their conflict. Meanwhile, the Deathworlders' High Council is forced to reckon with internal divisions. The extremist faction's violent coup has been quelled, but the damage is profound. The Council realizes that continuing the war in isolation will only lead to annihilation. Against this backdrop, a new generation of Deathworlder leaders emerges, leaders who envision a future where their species can rise not just as warriors, but as guardians and partners. Harnessing their planet's unique biomechanical technology, the Deathworlders begin to mobilize their ancient fleet in full force. Unlike before, this fleet is no longer dormant or reactive. It is a symbol of rebirth and strength. Ships that blend organic and technological elements rise from hidden docks, their hulls shimmering with crystalline plating and pulsating with living energy. Federation scientists work alongside Deathworlder engineers, combining their technologies to enhance the fleet's capabilities. The CSS Resolute becomes a hub for joint efforts, a rare symbol of cooperation amid deep-seated distrust. But this rise is not just about technology. It is about a shared recognition of a looming external threat, a galactic force more terrifying than any conflict between the Deathworlders and the Federation. Intelligence reports reveal that an ancient, predatory alien empire known only as the Varaxians is moving toward their sector, hungry for conquest and destruction. Faced with this existential danger, former enemies find common ground. Captain Venn and Kale, now representatives of their peoples, lead a fragile coalition. Their goal is to unify the Deathworlders' fierce warriors and the Federation's strategic might to confront the Vraxian threat. The fleet's first joint operation is a daring defense of a critical outpost on the edge of Federation space. The Combined Forces, Deathworlder biomechanical warships supported by Federation firepower, engage in a fierce battle against the Vraxian advance fleet. The fight is brutal, testing the limits of their uneasy alliance. Throughout the conflict, the Deathworlders prove invaluable, their intimate knowledge of hostile environments and adaptive combat strategies turning the tide at critical moments. Federation pilots, inspired by Deathworlder tenacity, push their ships beyond limits they never imagined. As the battle rages, Captain Venn and Kale coordinate a bold counterattack targeting the Vraxian command ship. Their success in disabling it forces a strategic retreat, buying precious time for the galaxy to prepare. The rise of the Deathworlders' fleet thus marks not an end, but a new beginning, a symbol of survival, adaptation, and unity forged in the crucible of hardship. Their partnership with the Federation reshapes galactic politics, proving that even the fiercest enemies can become allies when faced with a greater darkness. The story closes on a hopeful, yet cautious note. The Deathworld storms calm, the fleet stands vigilant, and the galaxy watches as this newfound alliance prepares for the battles ahead, knowing that the true test of their unity has only just begun.